Hey, Dr. Trash here, and today I will explain the concept of armor and magic reduction as well as penetration, and also I will explain lethality. Additionally, I will give you my personal advice on when to buy what. I will do the math with armor since I don't want to repeat magic resistance over and over again, but bear in mind though that it works exactly the same with the exception from lethality, which was added at the beginning of season 7 and substituted flat armor penetration. But I get to that later on, where I will go into detail on that and explain the difference between flat magic penetration and lethality. Also, I want to promote now my video where I talk about armor and magic resistance, where I explain how to calculate damage reduction, what effective health is, and why it's a myth that armor gets worse the more you buy. So I want to begin this video by explaining the difference between penetration and reduction. So penetration only benefits yourself, while reduction has a positive effect on all incoming damage sources, like auto attacks, spells, turret hits, and even on-hit effects from items. So it's fair to say that reduction is the more valuable stat, but therefore also only available through Black Cleaver, Wit's End, or certain abilities like Trundle's ultimate for example. The second difference is that with penetration you can't reduce someone's armor below 0, while with enough reduction this is possible. Also, I want to explain now the order on how to calculate different types of reduction and penetration. When we got more than one type of reduction or penetration, we begin with flat reduction, followed by percentage reduction, and afterwards we add our percentage penetration, and at the end lethality or flat magic penetration. Also, when you got two different sources from percentage reduction or penetration, you don't add them on each other, you rather calculate them separately. So if you have 10% armor penetration and another 20%, you multiply the armor with 0.9 and then 0.8 instead of 0.7. But enough from that, and let's get right into it. And we start off with flat armor and magic reduction. But now only Corky's Gatling gun and Wit's End have a flat reduction, but that might change with the new rune system coming to the league. Since the reduction is flat and has no percentage, it is better off against enemy carries that normally tend to not buy resistances. Against a tank on the other hand, it becomes pretty useless since shredding 20 armor is not that big if your opponent has 200 armor. The next type of reduction is percentage magic and armor reduction. The only item in the game with a passive that gives you percentage reduction is Black Cleaver, which shreds armor. Each time you deal physical damage, you stack your percentage up to a maximum of 24%. Apart from that item, a few abilities also have percentage reduction, like Trundle's ultimate or Garen's spin move for example. In general, is percentage reduction better against tanks with more resistances and most useful on bruiser type top laners that fight a tanky champ in the split push, and in teamfights reduce armor and MR for your backline DPS champs. You normally don't see Black Cleaver or this stat in general on an AD carry, and surely not an assassin like Zed, since it doesn't really fulfill its intended purpose on those champs. So now we move on to armor and magic penetration, and we start off with percentage penetration. You can get this stat through Last Whisper, Voidstuff, Rune's Masteries, and also the 3 champs Darius, Gangplank and Yasuo have some percentage armor penetration in their kit. Percentage penetration and the bonus version of it, even more, excel against tanks. Last Whisper for example is literally useful when fighting an AD carry that neither has built Ninja Tabis or in Guardian's Angel. Therefore you normally tend to buy those items that give you percentage penetration in the late game. That's because as an AD carry or mid laner, you probably won't fight a tank that often in the early or mid game, and therefore you don't need it that badly. In the later stages of the game though, you almost certainly would need an item that gives you percentage penetration, since otherwise it will take ages for you to kill the enemy frontline. Flat penetration is divided into lethality and flat magic penetration. The difference is that lethality scales with a level, while flat magic penetration always stays the same. So when you buy sorcerer shoes, you will always have 15 magic penetration, while when you buy Duskblade of Dr. you have at level 1 11.2 armor penetration, and at level 18 you get 18 armor penetration. That's also the reason that lethality champs like Zed and Talon are played in the mid lane, since they get a level advantage against both bot lanes and the jungler, which makes them even a bigger threat. Also is lethality a real snowball item, since a set with Duskblade and Yumus and the level advantage is a real pain in the ass to deal with. In general, is the difference to percentage penetration that flat penetration is more valuable in the early game, where only tanks build resistances, which makes you nearly deal true damage to AD carries and not a squishy champs. In the late game though, it falls off a bit, since even as an AD carry you buy one defensive item or even Guardian's Angel, which prevents being one-shot and against tanks, it's every kind of flat penetration nearly useless. So summed up, is flat penetration or reduction better against carries and therefore built on assassins that are keen on killing those high value targets. Off-tank champs and carries tend to buy more percentage penetration and reduction since they are the ones that kill the enemy front line. So that's it for today. I hope you liked this video and you learned something new. If you did so, please leave a like or subscribe to my channel. But anyway, thanks for watching and I hope to see you next time. Goodbye.